this in my practice, private practice, again and again and again, the absolute exhaustion from a client who has tried to deal with their grief by keeping busy. It doesn't work. It's not the solution. The solution is to walk through the pain and come to the other side of it by learning how to process pain. But many times in our culture, what we do instead is we keep in a whirlwind of busyness.
I can relate to that, actually. I can relate to that. I know whenever I was going through different things in my life, two of the main ways that I would kind of cope would be to just go out and drink with friends. That's a great way to burn multiple hours.
Yes.
Or I would go to the gym. And, even though I guess the gym was a positive habit to pick up, just like I guess you could say picking up another job would be somewhat positive because you make more money. It's still taking away time from you actually processing the grief, like you were saying, in a healthy way to resolve it and come to peace with it. And that is something that I'll say about those two methods. Even though it was like temporary relief, it never was the thing that helped me to be able to fully get over whatever that hump was to come to peace.
And thank you so much for sharing that, Kamani. That's so real and raw. And the truth is, all that keeping busy did and does for each of us is cover over the real experience of hurt and loss.
Like a Band-Aid, you could say.
Yes, like a false Band-Aid. And very often when you have your guy friends, and I've had so many men in my practice and friends who get angry, like instantly angry at the smallest thing. And I look at that when I observe it and I say, what is going on? What is going on beneath that anger? Anger truly, in my world of grief recovery, is grief turned inside out. It's being angry about something that underneath that anger is loss and sadness and unhappiness that has never been dealt with. And the result is anger. And so I don't want to speak politically in this interview, but I will just say, in my humble view, that if we were to get underneath the psychology of some of the mass shootings in our country over the last 20 years, that those who have participated in it and taken others out, if we had looked at their psyche, that would have been a very, very sad state of emotions. And that is why they're driven to such violence, is that would be sadness and unhappiness and unfulfilled life unexpressed. And the result is violence, which is really a tragedy again and again and again. So I don't want to belabor that, but just to give mention to that. That's how I see that so many times underneath anger is grief.
I can see what you're saying. And I would actually agree with that, where a lot of the people that you see committing heinous crimes, people that end up being murderers or committing, assault, where you're not killing anybody, but you're harming somebody, is a lot of people kind of do that stuff out of frustration or something in their life that they're not happy with. And instead of taking the time to either, grieve or find a way to cope with it and press through it in a healthy way, repressing it and never addressing the issue eventually kind of builds pressure, kind of like shaking up a soda bottle. And then eventually it kind of explodes in that way where it caps off with people committing these types of actions.
Exactly. That's very, very well said. That's exactly how I see it. And every time I would hear of another tragedy like that, because I am fully engaged in my work and the way that I am, is that I hear that slice of news and I think, what happened to that human being that he was so miserable in his life that was the only way he could see his way out, was to hurt so many others and take himself out at the same time. It's just such a loss. It's so tragic. And if everyone, sometimes among my colleagues, I'll say, if everyone in the world was able to have a specialist who taught them how to process pain in the way that we do in our work, the world would be a happier place.